It is now 7 p.m. Can you hear me back in the back? All right, thank you. Welcome to the Monday, June 15th, 2026 Town Council meeting. Our meeting this evening will be broadcast live on the Town of Double Oak YouTube channel. Once on the channel, please click on the live button. Out of respect for all those in the attendance, please refrain from talking to other members of the audience during the meeting and silence all electronic devices while in the Cook Wilkinson Community Government Room. I would like to ask our Town Secretary, Daisy Torres, to please call the roll.
Okay, Mayor Johnson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem McCormick.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Pro Tem Bum.
Here.
Councilmember Wellen.
Here.
Councilmember Wartney.
Here.
Councilmember Blush.
Here.
We have a quorum. Thank
We
you.
have a quorum.
Councilperson Gortney will now lead us in the invocation.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for your many blessings. We thank you that we can breathe another day and we can love on our families. Lord, we just ask you to be with us as we conduct this meeting. Help us to be civil with each other. Help us to be kind. Thank you for our police department. Thank you for our volunteer fire department. Thank you for how they serve us. Protect them, guide them, lead them, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Nice.
Councilperson Blush will now lead us in the pledges. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you. Moving on with the meeting this evening, we start out with item 2, citizen comments, non-agenda subjects. The Town Council welcomes and values citizen input. A portion of each meeting is set aside for comments on non-agenda items, which means topics not listed on the meeting agenda. If your comments relate to an agenda item, you'll have the opportunity to speak when that item comes up. When recognized by the presiding officer, please step to the lectern, state your name and address for the record. Each citizen has up to 3 minutes to speak. Council members will listen closely, but they will not respond or enter into a discussion during this time. This is a procedural rule designed to allow everyone a fair chance to be heard and to keep the meeting moving forward. Please also know that all meetings, including citizen comments, are recorded as part of the town's official record. We ask that all comments be respectful and orderly. Personal attacks, profanity, and disruptive behavior are not allowed. If rules of conduct are violated, the presiding officer may call the speaker to order, issue a warning, or require the individual to leave if necessary. Law enforcement may be asked to intervene. These guidelines are in place to ensure that every citizen has an opportunity to speak in a fair, respectful environment and that the town council meeting remains productive and professional. Tonight we have 6 citizens that would like to speak. First up this evening is Joanne Meyer.
Hi, I'm Joanne Meyer, 170 Park Lane. A week ago, I saw an old friend at church, and I told her I was busy and I was going to the Double Oak Council meeting. She said, yeah, that mayor of Double Oak was for the helicopter. And I said, no, he wasn't. I said, that's a lie. I met one of Patrick's neighbors. I asked him if Patrick ever told him he was for the helicopter. After he thought about it a little bit, he said no. Patrick understands the state law must be neutral. Folks, there are a lot of lies. Last week I told you about my conversation with one of the new council people and was informed that it's politics. 2 other people now have come to me and told me the same thing. They were told it's politics. Now we have had 3 confrontational incidences, one right here in the lobby of the town hall, a second one outside the front door, and a third out in the parking lot. What's next? Who's next? What's best for Double Oak and its citizens? As council members, you must have learned from the town attorney that you have to be neutral and consider all of Double Oak, even the ones who didn't vote for you. While campaigning, you told people you were against the plan development, town manager, and the police chief. You have to be careful what you say and don't say, and say now. It's a Texas state law, or you will get a visit from the Texas Attorney General. You are now Double Oak Council members and have to abide by that law. What decision you make will affect yourselves, the Double Oak citizens, and maybe even the town of Double Oak. We all need to be careful who we listen to for advice. Thank you.
Thank you. Jean Hillier.
Jean Hillier, 170 Trailing Oaks Drive. Warming up to summer and had a couple thoughts when I was out putzing the yard, so I'm going to share them tonight. I'm respectfully asking that the Planning and Zoning Committee and the Town Council, and really all of us, support and apply some common sense to the proposed development on 407 and Simmons. I keep going back to the process that the mayor has described both in the Cross Timbers Gazette and in at least one Friday update about how rezoning gets done before we really need to have traffic studies and drainage studies and things like that. And while that may be the standard or what typically goes on in Double Oak, I don't know that anything relating to this particular proposed development is standard. And it seems to me that it makes sense that the town would have a current drainage study so we know what currently the lay of the land is, both in the land and the surrounding properties, and certainly the same for traffic, since both will have an impact on Double Oak residents. It's a big enough development and significant enough in terms of the impact on the lifestyle and quality of life of Double Oak residents, as well as income. So perhaps those could be done before rezoning is even requested and heard by Planning and Zoning and then ultimately Town Council. Another thing is suggestion now that the carport for the police department is under construction, it makes sense to update the town insurance for buildings. I don't recall that the cost of the additional coverage being considered when this was proposed, but is essential, so maybe that should be looked into. And I'm also wondering if there's a reason that the public works truck doesn't have a current registration. Is there an assumption that since it's driven around town that it's exempt from being ticketed and the town fined for non-compliance? Current stickers from January of 2025. Thank you.
Thank you. Ginger Britton.
Ginger Britton, 35 Kings Road. Jean beat me to the punch. I noticed the other day that the Public Works truck sticker was out and has been since January 1 of 2025. I don't know whose responsibility this was, town administration, mayor, code enforcement guy who might be driving it. You might have noticed that. Also, that probably indicates to me, and this is a girl speaking, rotate the tires, change the oil, check the fluids, check the filters. Maybe that comes from my husband being a long-term mechanic guy. But just a little housekeeping duty that probably needs to be done to make sure that that vehicle is paid for, we maintain it in good shape, and it lasts us for a number of years without an additional cost to the town. Thanks.
Thank you. Ever Martinez?
Good evening, everyone. Ever Martinez, 322 East Caruth Lane, Double Oak, Caruth Estates. Tonight, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about concerns that we're having, obviously, around the development, but what is actually getting us to the point to where we are today. So the point of my discussion, or I'm sorry, the point of my talking points tonight is going to be that there are some growing concerns among residents regarding the town's financial position, budget outlook, and the decisions being made based upon those financial assumptions. In the past, residents have heard statements that the town's finances were strong and fiscally responsible. More recently, we have also heard discussions that suggest difficult financial realities and that the certain future decisions may be necessary to address these long-term concerns. In the beginning, it was development. Now we're looking at liquor license for the development. There's just a lot of things that are evolving and that are changing with this whole development. When there's a gap between public perception and current messaging, questions naturally arise. Because of that, I would respectfully request that the council consider authorizing an independent third-party review of the town's financial position and budget assumptions. This review could evaluate current financial health and reserve level assumptions and expenditures, development-related financial impacts, internal financial controls, and forecasting practices. My request is not about distrust for the sake of distrust. It's simply about transparency. It's about restoring and strengthening the public confidence in this town council. If the town's financial position is as strong as previously presented, then an independent review would validate that and provide reassurance to the residents. If opportunities for improvements are identified, then the town and community benefit from understanding those issues now rather than later. As residents, we all want the same thing: a financially responsible town, transparent leadership, and decisions that are made with complete and reliable information. I respectfully ask that the council to consider placing this item on a future agenda for discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Dietrich?
Evening. Mark Dietrich, 155 Foxtrot Lane. Of course, we've heard in the past that there's no laws against you answering my questions, so I'm expecting answers. So with the proposed development up there, we've seen now there's some agreements. They found some good solutions to send all the water north. So none of this water for the proposed development is going to be going south through Caruth, 250 lane on there, anything. And so that should take care of a lot of drainage problems. It'll all be going north across the street. The horse ranch won't be getting any water from it. I hope they have a good well. And so this takes care of many of Caruth's questions that they had. Also, there was statements about deed restrictions on the properties on the corner there near the church. Most of those properties now are currently owned by the property owners, the businesses that's sitting on that land. The church has sold much of that land to the businesses as they own it. There are no more deed restrictions on the vast majority of those properties. Also, people are saying, you know, we've been having a dry town. If anybody's around for 4th of July, this town ain't dry. The DOVWD, they get a special permit to sell alcohol. They make a lot of money from that. A good portion of their money is from there. Why don't we allow that same benefit to other businesses in our town? Sign the petition. Also, we've heard that it's for the people, by the people. The people have a right to vote. Are you for the people and by the people? Have you signed the petition to let the people vote? For the people, by the people? Question.
No one's asked me to sign a petition.
Or,
Oh, we can't answer.
no.
I'm asking you to sign the petition. I'll have a copy of it if you wish. That goes for all the council members. No answers? Everybody was complaining that the council doesn't answer questions? we were told the council would answer our questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott Quarter?
Good evening. Scott Quarter, 685 Simmons Road, Double Oak. Just real quick to what Mark Dietrich just said, we've been in contact with the senior pastor at the church, and he's working with us right now to identify the businesses that are, because there are still quite a few businesses, according to him, that are under the deed restrictions and cannot sell alcohol. So we're trying to get to the bottom of that and reached out to him, so we'll have a follow-up meeting to get that information so we can deal with facts and not rumors. The second thing I'd like to talk about, McAdams came up here once and made a presentation about the finances of the city and tried to paint a grim picture. They went back a couple weeks later and made some adjustments to their assumptions, came back, but essentially gave us the same story, that there's an issue here in the future with our budget and our finances. I'd like to understand, we have almost $2.6 million in reserves. It's getting, I think, 3.5% interest right now, and so it's growing a little over $90,000 a year, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. And where does this money come into play? Why isn't having any discussion about these cash reserves? It's a pretty healthy cash reserve. When you look at what the state of Texas recommends, they recommend for our town and our budget about $450,000. We're almost 600% above that. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I mean, having a good cash reserve is good, but it gives us the opportunity. We don't have to rush into a development. We've got cash reserves that can cover certain things. I understand it probably can't cover reoccurring costs, but there's a lot of things in our budget that aren't reoccurring. A new police vehicle, new radios, the cover going over the police, or the carport. Those kind of things to come out of that. And $2.6 million, that's about what our yearly budget is. So it's a pretty healthy reserve. And nobody has mentioned that. Nobody has talked about that. They're saying we're going off this financial cliff if we don't get this development and if we don't sell alcohol. And we're sitting on $2.6 million. Above and beyond the nearly 2.7 to 2.8 million we bring in every year with tax revenue, property taxes, and sales tax. So let's have a discussion about that, and let's be honest with the people. Let's be open. There's not it doesn't look like we have this financial cliff we're going to fall over if we don't bring this development in. We've got time to look. If you look at that type of money, that could fund our deficits for several years coming. And I don't think there's anybody here in this room that wants you to return that money to us. We just want you to do smart things with that money. That's our tax money that's been going in there year over year over year. I mean, we have $2.6 million in the last 3 years. You've raised our property taxes. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 3, consent agenda. All consent agenda items are considered to be routine by the town council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Information concerning consent agenda items is available for public review. Council, tonight we have one item, and that is discuss, consider, and act on the minutes of June 1st, 2025 meeting.
I have some corrections.
Yeah, I was just going to get there. It's okay, you're good. Council, are there any corrections?
Yes.
Okay, what are those?
On section number 15, discuss communication with Lantana Water on potential sewer service on 407 and Simmons. The minutes state that any sewer connection arrangement would be solely between the developer and Lantana Water. I specifically raised the question, any sewer connection, maintenance, or repairs that would be between the developer and Lantana Sewage. And it's just stating connection, not my repair, not the questions, and it was answered, there would be no money involved for Double Oak, for the town of Double Oak, on the repairs or maintenance regarding the sewage or water pipes. That is not in there, it just says any sewer connection. And we were elaborating.
Yeah, we'll be happy to include that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then I think that there is when we nominated the Mayor Pro Tem and Pro Tem, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem, Pat Wellen, I believe.
Yes, that's incorrect.
You can go forward with that then. Go
Okay,
ahead.
yeah, so under number 13, where it says Mayor Johnson open nominations, Councilmember Wellen nominated Dan McCormick.
Yes.
And then under the next one that goes down, nominations for Mayor Pro Tem,
That was me.
yeah, but the next one's not. It says McCormick nominated Pat Wellen. It should be Gortney nominated Pat Wellen. But then the second and all that is correct. So those are the only two.
You got that? Okay. All right. Other? Dan? Chris? Mike? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
I move we approve the consent items. I move we approve the consent items.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem McCormick and a second by Deputy Mayor Pro Tem Bump. Daisy, can you please call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem McCormick,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Pro Tem Bump,
Aye.
Councilmember Wellen,
Aye?
Councilmember Wardney,
Aye.
Councilmember Blush,
Aye.
Item passes. Thank you, council. All right, moving on to item 4, mayor, council member, and staff reports. We're now on our order, our new order here. So I'm going to go ahead and start to the right with Mayor Pro Tem. So anything you'd like to speak on?
Good evening, Double Oak. Yes, following up from the last council meeting's invitation to participate in town activities, I mentioned that we're going to be working towards revamping the current committees, but also adding additional ones. The list of potential committees, current and potential committees that have come to my attention, of course, the existing committees are drainage, roads, ordinances, and technologies, which historically, technology hasn't been a committee. It's been pretty much a one-man show. But in addition to that, we're going to propose a Budget and Finance and Investment Committee, expand on the Technology Committee, even look at an Economic Development Committee, since we're all about economic development, even if it is limited currently, and then a Community Activities Committee. So the two speakers tonight talked about the budget and suggested a independent overview. Well, what I'm proposing is that the Budget Committee would in fact provide that oversight. So I'm going to again invite you in, to the extent that I can compel y'all to get online and get your applications in, because as Chris said earlier, last week, we're going to be coming up to budget time here pretty quick. And I want to have the Budget Committee in place to where you can go in and look at the budget, look at the finances, and all the questions that were brought up in the public comment section. Get those answers, get those questions answered to everybody's satisfaction. All right, and that Budget Committee, as well as the other committees, will provide the oversight that I think we all want for the town of Double Oak. So right now, we only had, between last council meeting and this one, we only had 9 applications submitted. We need to double and triple that. So again, reach in, your hearts, see if you have the time and the inclination to participate in working with the council, the town management, to improve Double Oak. So, thank you.
Thank you. Chris?
Yeah, I've got a few things. So with regards to liaisons on committees, I know we're gonna get to that eventually, but in reviewing TOMA, I see that we're actually allowed to have as many as 2 liaisons per committee. And that might be overkill, but what I do want to do, because in the committee I got to spend with Pat, I learned a tremendous amount, right? Not only in just what's going on with ordinance, which was fascinating to me, but also, you know, in the way committees can run. And so what I'm going to ask for, before I think of trying to add 2 liaisons, is that we have a public posting of all meetings for each of the committees, so that those of us who want to attend to learn can. That's my first ask. I am completely in agreement with the notion that people should be allowed to. I've got a deep voice.
That's how it.
I'm completely in agreement with the notion that people should be allowed to vote, but equally I believe people should be allowed to not vote. That in itself so by not signing a petition, that is a vote as well. So I don't think anybody should be compelled to sign just to assure that we have an election in November. So the number required is a low percentage of our town. I've heard rumors that people are interfering with that. I hope to goodness that's not true, because no one should be interfering with that. But, you know, I think that door swings both ways. Now, having brought that up, the reason I bring that up is July 4th parade. It's about celebrating our nation's independence, our nation's birthday. It's a chance for the town to celebrate, commune, connect. And so I'm going to ask that we not have, given the contentiousness of the poll takers, that we not have poll takers present during the 4th of July picnic and parade. And then, I guess when we get to it, but I am really curious as to how our town vehicle can go 18 months without registration, and that makes me wonder if we're paying attention to maintenance as well. Other than that, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Pat?
This one doesn't, okay, there, I finally got it. This one doesn't want to turn on. So I didn't see anybody here from the fire department, so I was just going to remind everybody about the 4th of July and get in that parade, have fun, come to the picnic so that you can support them. This is one of their big fundraisers. And we know that their equipment is getting older, their trucks are getting older, and so we need to start supporting them so that they have the money that they need to operate as well, because they do a great service for us and save us a lot of money by having them over the other fire departments we would have to have. So thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. One is, it's already been addressed, and we'll just readdress it again, in that we know for sure that the meat market owns their own property, and they're not deed restriction. There's undetermined amount of who else is that way, but there are several businesses that I know Bernie has checked into that are not deed restricted also. So we just need to find that information out, and we need to, again, just stop with the rhetoric that every business over there can't sell liquor because they're deed restricted. Second thing is and I'm going to where Chris talked about the July 4th parade and poll takers. I don't know what you mean by poll takers.
The folks collecting signatures on the petition.
Okay. All right. I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. And so, okay. So I'm good.
Okay.
Linda?
I like that Chris brought that up about signing the petition on 4th of July. I think that would be a pretty one-sided or not a fair fair assault on people who are, not really assault, but people who are here to have a good time and enjoy 4th of July, especially when alcohol is served. I don't think that's a good time to be signing petitions. So I hope that that's not a problem, like Mike just said. Secondly, I am definitely in favor of more community activity on doing the committees and the new liaisons that are on the horizon, and getting Double Oak, giving everyone a chance to come back and support Double Oak as a volunteer with their time and their knowledge, because there is a lot of knowledge here in Double Oak, and I thank you for that. I do, with regards to the meat market, I can understand how they would like to sell beer and wine there, but I don't know, I haven't done enough investigating on that, if that's enough tax incentive for Double Oak to go ahead and go completely wet for that particular tax incentive. With that being said, I have nothing else to say until later.
Okay, thank you. If I could get a clarification, David, in regards to citizens' First Amendment rights, right to protest, right to do, how does that flow in regards to a 4th of July with people who might be for it or might be against it? Because we did have a float in the parade last year about no helicopters in Double Oak. So can you give us more of a legal response to what can and can't be done on an event like the 4th of July?
Well, yeah, first and foremost, this is a public event. Even though it's being sponsored by the city, it's being conducted in a variety of public forums, including parks and city streets. We cannot adopt regulations or engage in activities that would restrict or limit First Amendment rights. I think as the parade itself, if we've previously opened up the door for political speech, you can't just all of a sudden close it. But we cannot be expending public funds in support of or in opposition to any political measure. And so to the extent that there may be a float in this parade, it cannot cost the city any money. We cannot expend our city resources in support of it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and
I wonder where you were going was the idea that, are we limiting free speech if we were to say we don't want people trying to collect signatures during the parade and picnic?
We can't be telling people that they can't be engaging in political activities at a public event.
And the purpose for my question has nothing to do with whether for or against. It's really comes down to the rules of how we're set up to do this. And if we start to restrict one over the other, that creates a potential situation where legal action could be taken. And the door did open up last year on political folks that had the no helicopter stuff. And I was okay with it because that's political, that's everybody's freedom rights. And so and I don't want it to be a political event in any way, shape, or form.
No, it's a good question.
But you're going to have citizen groups, you're going to have citizen people that are going to go do these things, and we as a town cannot say no. And that was the big issue with, since the helicopter came up, when the person who wanted to buy the land asked us about doing a helicopter, we said, there's a process called special use permit. And you can apply for one and ask for a special use permit to land a helicopter. That's all we said. They followed that process through. It went through planning and zoning, and it didn't make it, no helicopter. So these rules are put in place by our state government, our federal government, in order to ensure that everybody can partake in this. And if I say something wrong, David, please correct me. But so I don't want to say you can't. I don't want to say you can. I don't want to encourage you doing it. I don't want to not encourage somebody to do it. What I'd like is that we all show up on the 4th and have a great time. But what every citizen in this town and those who visit us, what they do when they get here, as long as they're following our laws, it's their right as citizens of the United States to do that.
So with that in mind, you're saying with the alcohol that's being served, people can walk around and ask people to sign a petition for alcohol at the party, at the park?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we all have to remember that the town is going to validate signatures on a liquor referendum that's being represented by
Right.
the citizens,
Yes.
not the town. And so we're not involved in that. I'm not involved in it. We're not supposed to be involved, but the town administration is involved because
Okay.
they have to do all the validation work.
Okay.
You had to take in the referendum, you had to check everything. And so that's to limited involvement on that piece.
Okay.
The development's completely different.
Yes.
The development is the development, and the town's heavily involved in that. And again, I don't ever want to be in a position as the sitting mayor to say someone can or can't say anything or do anything. So although I've been accused of different things, the reality is that typically when I just say it's got to go and just let it go, I do that because I don't want to step on any citizen's rights. Landowner rights as well. Nobody wants me to come onto your land and tell you who you can sell it to or who you can't sell it to or what you can do on it. We just know that you can do something with your land when it's time for you to sell. So that's been my position through the, through 250 Simmons, and it's my position with the development. And we will clear up, Mr. Corder, we will clear up, and Mr. Martinez, when we get to budget, you'll see all of those numbers. And no, it's not doom and gloom today. It's never been doom and gloom today. It's 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road based upon the trends. We'll show that data as well. We're good. We technically only have 1.5 million, even though there's 2.5 there, because we had a resolution in our town that we are keeping a higher fund balance to fund the town if we have an emergency, which is what, around 800,000, something like that. Where technically, whoever said it was correct. We only have to have like 480 or 490. Our town used to have 72% of that in the bank, which really what it meant was from the years 2015 through 2020, there's a little bit of a higher tax rate that collected these funds. Towns are supposed to work, you have a budget, you have a revenue. They've got to equal. There's not supposed to be any money made in the town. And we'll be showing all of this throughout the budget process as well. So I'm not really going to jump into that. I'm just saying is that we will be addressing some of the citizen comments tonight as we work through the budget.
Patrick?
Yes.
Can I get a little clarification? You made a statement that the helicopter went to P&Z. It actually never did go to P&Z?
Yes, it did.
It did?
It never came to council.
It never came to council because it got pulled after P&Z.
Right.
Okay.
So anyway, that was more than I wanted to say. I apologize for that. But so we're going to go ahead and move on to Public Works and Code Enforcement. So thank you, Council.
All right, I got a few updates as it relates to Public Works. As most of you saw when you walked in, they started construction on the carport. It is expected to be pretty much finished next weekend. We're trying to work on it in the weekend, so we're not disrupting parking and services during the week. So we're hoping to get that finished, weather permitting, next Saturday and Sunday. Also, I met with our town engineer. We are working with, they're going to be putting some numbers together so to go out to a formal bid for a major street project, mill and overlay street project, based upon the priorities that was given to us by the roads committee. We did a drive-through, walk-through of each of the major streets. And they're going to be working with us to develop the specs and the RFP to start that process. And once I get that preliminary report from them, I will be bringing that to council to make sure that we're on the right track and we have a good understanding of what we're going to be spending from a financial perspective, because this money is identified within our fund balance as part of our what's called our GASB 54 resolution that the council approves every year. So I just want to let you know that's being worked on the back end. Look forward to bringing it to council once I get some numbers and stuff from our Public Works team.
Will that spend, was that part of the budget for the year, or is this going to come off the balance sheet?
That is part, right now it is sitting in our fund balance out of our $2.6 million fund balance.
So in years past, what they did was they stuck in a line item in the budgeting, which was really not the way it should have been done, and then they took the money from the fund balance to fill the budget, the dollars for the budget. So we've cleaned that up. And so now we basically earmark, for lack of a better word, I don't know if that's the proper word, when we do the budget, that we're going to budget for this much of the fund balance to go towards roads projects, different types of road projects. So
So is that different than the budget for roads? That is a line item?
the budget for roads is basically the ongoing upkeep and maintenance of what we do on a day-to-day basis. So they're absolutely two separate things. So if we have a pothole down on Waketon Road, I hope we don't, but if we did, then we would pull from our budgeted road funds to fill that pothole. Going and doing a large mill and overlay or a large crack seal project, that money is typically earmarked or identified at budget time and then spent accordingly based upon the bids that we get. So, for example, I forget what is the road for the mill and overlay? What did we put in there this year? Sorry to put you on the spot.
350,000.
So we go out to do the mill and overlay, and hypothetical at this point, folks. So we go to take this list that the roads committee has put up there, and they get all the specs together, and they go out to get bids, and the bids come back at, say, $400,000 for these 8 roads that were identified. Well, that's when the council's got to sit down and go through the list, and, okay, we only budgeted 300 for this, or 350 or whatever it was. So now we have to start taking roads off the list. It's the same thing with the crack seal. The crack seal is not as expensive. What did we have for crack seal?
I believe we budget about between 30 and 35,000.
So if you look at those two projects alone, that could be a potential of 350 of the $1.5 million that's sitting out there, which is when you start to do that type of math 2, 3, 4 years in a row, is where then we get to a possible situation to where the fund balance isn't big enough in order to support the projects that we need to get done. And you've driven our roads. The roads are getting tough. But you drive on other towns' roads, they're having the same problem. I had lunch with the mayor of Bartonville today. They got a huge problem over there. They got a lot more roads than we do, and their roads are falling apart just as fast as ours are. And they don't know how they're going to come up with all that money. And so that's what we're going to talk through when we get to the budget part. But where we were sitting 2 years ago with this was the fact that we still had $256,000 of SLFRF money sitting in the bank. So we were able to take less from the fund balance, add the SLFRF, and we did the $420,000 project. We don't have that anymore, all right? And it has nothing to do with SLFRF, but we don't have that anymore. So now we're back to utilizing our budgeting process with how much we want to take out of our fund balance to pay for large road projects. So stay tuned, that'll be a part of our budgeting process. So did I confuse anybody?
Chris, is there a textual description that?
Yeah.
Oh. Is there a description that what defines something as ongoing maintenance, which would come out of the maintenance, as opposed to coming out of the fund balance for a major repair? Or is it a dollar amount?
You try to put what's in your operating budget, which is our general fund, like the mayor said, the routine maintenance, filling potholes. You got a small little fix here, small little fix there. The major construction projects, like a major mill and overlay project, those tend to be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, of which typically you do not put in your operating account or your general fund. You set up what's called a special revenue fund that is tracked separately, both from a revenue perspective and an expenditure perspective. The best practice is not to put capital expenditures into your operating account. And so one thing that I'm trying to do is take it, in the past we kind of combined it all into one. I'm trying to get us into what's governmental fund accounting and use the general fund for regular operational type of expenditures. So with streets, that would be pothole repairs, minor repairs, $4,000 or $5,000 repairs, kind of like at the last meeting or so, we had a couple small street fixes. That was less than $10,000. That was being paid out of the operational budget. Something that is big, requires a major RFP, those are typically paid out of a capital outlay fund or a street project fund, which is outside of your operational cost. Because usually the money is coming from somewhere else.
When you submit the cost estimate from the town engineer, will it include the list of the individual projects that are being considered?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll all be broken out and, it'll be condensed down to a spreadsheet, but you'll look at this street's X, this street's Y, all of that. Same with the mill and overlay. Okay.
So
go ahead.
I'm not done, but those were great questions, because I'm glad we're talking a little bit about the fund balance, because as we're actually going to be bringing the new resolution for the upcoming year to council soon, so the council can have the discussion of how they're going to allocate the projected fund balance for the upcoming year. That'll be coming to council next month. So I would also like to give an update, like I usually do, regarding the direct retail project at 407 and Simmons. I did receive on Friday update letter from them, and I would just like to read that out loud, just so.
And this will be posted on our webpage.
Yeah, this will be posted on the website, and if any of you would like a copy, I'd be more than happy to give you a copy, but I wanted to, in full transparency, let everybody know what I got. So it says, "Dear Mr. Logan, our direct retail partners would like to provide you with a quick update on our proposed shopping center at 407 and Simmons Road. As was shared at the June 1st, 2026 Town Council meeting, our engineering team spent several weeks reviewing the existing drainage issues of Caruth Estates residents. This review identified several significant issues. Our engineering team concluded that while correcting these issues may be theoretically possible, the construction efforts required would not be practical. As a result, our team is proposing that the stormwater that currently drains from the proposed shopping center site to Brawley Farms and Caruth Estates be rerouted so that it discharges directly to the retention pond located north of FM 407 in Lantana. Today, this stormwater drains from the proposed shopping center site to Brawley Farms and Caruth Estate before ultimately discharging to that retention pond north of 407. We are working with Denton County Freshwater District Number 6, and will have the necessary agreements with them in place the coming weeks. On May 26, 2026, we met with 8 property owners who are within 200 feet of the proposed shopping center site. At this meeting, we reviewed a list of 20 concerns that the homeowners had sent us on May 25th. The most important item on that list was stormwater runoff from the site. The drainage solution detailed above will completely eliminate stormwater runoff to Brawley Farms and Caruth Estates and resolve this issue. Additional items on homeowners' list included visual impact of the center both from their properties and along FM 407, noise and light disruptions, commercial flex use and accessory fuel cells, hours of operation related activities such as loading, deliveries, trash collection, etc., traffic impact mitigation. The majority of the items raised are addressed either fully or partially by the draft PD ordinance submitted to the town on March 2026, or commitments made at the March 18, 2026 Town Hall meeting. Our team is currently assessing the feasibility of addressing the remaining items. Once we complete our assessment and discuss our findings with the homeowners, we'll amend the PD ordinance as needed and submit it to Double Oak for review. We anticipate the updated PD ordinance will be submitted by the end of July. We are happy to answer any questions you, the mayor, or council may have. Sincerely, Chris Hips, Direct Retail Partners. So I just wanted to share with you what I got on Friday. And again, this will be posted on our website, and if any of you would like an individual copy, be more than happy to provide that to you. If I can move on to administration?
Yes, you can.
All right. I just want to thank the council for allowing me to attend the Texas City Managers Association annual conference that was held in Arlington a couple weeks ago. It's a great opportunity for me to network with other city managers and kind of learn what they are doing. Just a couple highlights I wanted to share. I sat on a panel of kind of how the city of Plano managed to get out of their financial struggles that they were dealing with a few years ago. And they basically, through what they focused on three things: long-term financial planning, updating their financial policies. We've had a little discussion about that today. A lot of their financial policies were either non-existent or old and needed to be updated. And I think the most important thing that they brought up was transparent communication between staff and council and the community. So it's kind of interesting to hear how they managed to get out of their financial struggles. Another interesting session I went on related to council manager relation was the city of North Richland Hills had a major change in council makeup, similar like what we have here, where all of a sudden we have a brand new council. And they shared how they use strategic planning and a shared mission and values and goals to start building that trust, to get that cohesiveness as a group together by using strategic planning. So it kind of gave me reassurance with the item that we're going to be talking about later in this session of, as a town, getting cohesiveness on what our town vision is and what our town goals are. That just helps us move forward as a council. Also attended a session on AI and how other cities are starting to use AI to make them more efficient. A lot of those were bigger cities that don't really relate to us, that kind of relate to traffic and things like that. But I was really interested because we are at least here in administration, we're starting to use AI a lot to really improve our processes. So it was interesting to see how other cities are starting to use it as well. And finally, I went through an ethics training. TCMA is very, very strong on ethical leadership by its members, and you're required to take 2 hours of ethical training every year. So it's always a fresh reminder to make sure we're fostering fair, honest, and ethical behavior, especially as it comes from staff. So just wanted to share that, a few things I learned, and thank you, council, again for letting me attend that conference. And that's all I have.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
would like to make a quick comment because there were some comments made about the Public Works truck. I can assure you that, yes, all the maintenance is done on a regular basis. All our vehicles are on a regular schedule. I will find out why we're behind on the registration. No reason for that, but I'll make sure it gets taken care of. But I can assure you from a maintenance perspective, all our vehicles are maintained. We're getting our oil changes and all those on a regular basis.
It's just that, you can't get an inspection without an up-to-date registration, right? And so I'm just like.
You can't get inspection, but you can get an oil change and things of that sort done.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'll make sure it gets done.
We'll get it corrected. All right. Anything else, Chris? Okay. Daisy, anything?
No,
Okay.
sir.
All right. Public safety, chief?
Yeah, we'll start with the May 2026 DOPD stats. We had 833 calls for service, including dispatched and officer initiated. We had 44 agency assist calls, 519 traffic stops cleared with either a citation or a warning. We had 3 DWI arrests, 1 narcotics arrest as a result of a traffic stop, and 1 warrant arrest as a result of a traffic stop. So a busy month. And I believe Assistant Chief Gaines would like to say a few words.
Chief Gaines?
I had a giant ahead of me here with the microphone.
It was too low for me.
I gotta get this situated, so, because everybody says they can't hear me, which is unusual, because usually everybody hears me. So, I'm Assistant Chief Gaines. Some of you know who I am, some of you don't. If you don't, you should have come to all of our events that we've had over the years. I've spent 5.5 years here, 34 years in law enforcement. So I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Council, I can't express how thankful I am. It means a great deal to me to have the opportunity to spend this time with so many people who have been part of my journey. As I stand here today, I'm filled with gratitude. And when I first took oath to serve the community, I could have never imagined where that path would lead. What began as a job became a calling, and a calling has given me friendships, experiences, memories that I will carry for the rest of my life, both in my previous agency and here as well. Over the years, I've had the privilege of serving alongside some truly remarkable people, and to my fellow officers, volunteer firemen and fire ladies, city staff and community partners, thank you for your dedication, professionalism, and commitment to serving others. The work we do here is never accomplished alone, and I've been fortunate enough to be surrounded by the people who deeply care about this community. All of you. To the citizens, thank you for your trust. Public service is ultimately about people, and it has been an honor to serve you. I've witnessed this community come together during difficult times, celebrate successes, and support one another when it mattered most. Those moments have always reminded me this is why this work is important. Like any career, there have been challenges along the way. There have been difficult days, tough decisions, and moments when the path forward was not always clear. But those experiences taught me valuable lessons about leadership, perseverance, and the importance of treating others with respect, even when we disagree. As I retire June 30th, I do so with pride in what we have accomplished together and confidence in those who will continue the work, and we have a magnificent team here. This community is stronger than any single individual, and know its future remains bright because of the dedicated people who serve it every day. To my family as well, there are not enough words to express my gratitude. I want to thank them for the love, patience, encouragement, and support throughout my career. Public service often requires sacrifices from those we love, and I could not have done it without them. While I may be retiring from this position, I am not saying goodbye to this community. You may still see me around town from time to time, behind the wheel of a patrol car, if you can see me over the steering wheel. And the chief has allowed me to stay on as a reserve officer, because once you put the badge on, a part of it stays with you forever, and I still bleed blue. Thank you for allowing me the privilege of serving this community, and thank you for your friendship, your support, and your trust. I leave with a grateful heart, wonderful memories, and optimism for the future.
Thank you, Chief Gaines. That was amazing, and we appreciate all the hard work that you've put in. And I look forward to non-town funded, but we're going to go to lunch next week, and I'm looking forward to that. So great job, and thank you for everything you've done You kind of went through some transition stuff here, and you did it like a champ and a pro. So awesome, and we are going to miss you, so thank you. Moving on with staff reports, Roads Committee.
Just what I had shared, we're waiting for the town engineer to get us some numbers.
Okay. Drainage Committee.
Drainage has given Chris and asked him to present to McAdams a bid for two culverts basically on Cross Timbers. One culvert, which is actually a road and drainage problem. We are addressing to take the culvert out because there's another culvert less than 30, 40 yards from it that is also doing the same work as that culvert. With both culverts in there, the house that sits there on Cross Timbers, it becomes a moat around the house when big rains come. So we've suggested they give us a bid for taking the culverts on the west end out completely and rebuilding the road with no drainage going through there at all, and just accessing the current east culvert to happen. So the McAdams is putting together a bid to take care of that. So it's a combination road / drainage part, but mainly we're trying to solve the drainage issues because those culverts on the west end are deteriorating to a point that they can't be repaired. So anyway, the second thing we presented to Chris from the Drainage Committee is a property at 125 Villa Creek Lane. Gentleman there has done an extensive amount of engineering himself, hired engineering companies to look at everything. He has got some pretty good plans together. The Drainage Committee met with him.
Excuse me. Please. Thank you.
Drainage Committee met with him, and we, as I've told everybody we talked to, the town cannot fix your drainage problem. If we start fixing one, we have to fix everybody else, but he's willing to pay for it. He needs a little assistance in how to deal with FEMA, because he's in a FEMA flood area, and so we are looking for McAdams to give us an idea of how they might be able to help him dealing with FEMA as a consultant, and what that might look like for the town. So I have no idea what or if we could do that, and we'll present a whole nother project to the council to decide that, and then we'll move forward from there.
Okay, thank you. We'll need to have him quote his part separate. I'm sorry, if you didn't hear me. With the part that the citizen will have to pay for, we'll have to get that as a separate quote. Okay. Ordinance Committee.
Okay, the ordinance committee is waiting on our town attorney to get back to us on some things that have gone. So what the gentleman from Place Services talked about last week to the council, that's what we're waiting on getting back from. I know you're working on it. It was quite lengthy. I know.
It's very lengthy, and I think a lot of changes are probably in order.
Yes.
I'm still waiting on getting a Word version of it as opposed to PDF, so that I can actually make meaningful changes that are easy to adapt and incorporate. But working on it, it's pretty big.
Yeah,
and
it is.
We've got more chapters, but we're doing it the right way, one bite at a time.
Yeah, and the committee, it took us a while to look through it too, so
I'm
that's
sure
why I
it did.
know that it's lengthy.
Yeah, I know.
We also have one more that we're looking at. We know our animal services ordinance is out of compliance with Texas law. That's one that's not in Yvonne's purview.
There's more?
Yeah, we have more that aren't up to code, up to Texas law that we're looking at now, the rest of the committee's looking at. And we also have gotten word from the chief that it's not enforceable the way it's currently written. So we are looking at, we will be having a meeting on that very soon, and we'll be sending a few more items that are either not enforceable the way they're written or are out of Texas code.
I'm very excited.
I know, I knew you would be.
All right, question. Pat, has any ordinances actually been changed?
Could you speak into the mic, please?
Has any ordinances been changed, that, since you've been involved in the ordinance committee?
Yes, we wrote an ordinance which had to do with trucks entering or crossing through our town that should not be entering our town. We made sure that was enforceable because before it was not generally enforceable. And so we rewrote that one to make it enforceable. And you've also seen, we already had some signs that said no through trucks, but we now can enforce that. In fact, they have given tickets for it already. We've also made the helicopter ordinance too. That came through the committee. And they were working on it before I took over that committee, but we finished it once I got on the committee and got that through. And everything else we have been working on, looking at Texas law and looking at our ordinance to see what is currently out of compliance with Texas laws.
So to you, Chris, are we keeping the ordinances as displayed on the website up to date with the changes?
Yes.
Okay.
Once they go through a council, they're adapted by the council. There's a little bit of paperwork after that. Signatures have to be done, validated by the town attorney, and then those ordinances then are entered into the Ecode 360 system.
You mean the council or the committee?
The council. The committee brings it to the council.
The council still has to vote on all changes to ordinances.
All these changes you've made are still yet to come to council?
No, they've already been done.
Some of them we've already done and council did. That was the 2 ordinances I talked about. The current things that are with Mr. Berman will be coming to the council after he
Right.
finishes his legal review of them. Because we can do our work, but he's our legal authority, because I can play one on TV, but I'm not really one. So we have to have him look at them and make sure that we've made everything legal and legitimate too. And then it comes to council after he has approved that. The other thing that Chris has done, he has to codify them, and he has done an audit to see what has been passed by council before he became town administrator, and found some things that were not codified.
That is correct.
And so he has gone through and codified, or is working on codifying those as well, because it goes through that before it shows up in Eco 360. So that is another thing that having Chris on board has done for us.
So that's the paperwork that I mentioned.
I just wanted to confirm that we use the website to determine what the ordinances are, and people visiting Double Oak also uses our website. Just want to make sure that it is up to date on any new ordinance, so thank you.
There's also a House bill that, and I think it's 2370, that passed in a couple of years ago that they're now starting to enforce on towns, and that says all of our ordinances and codes have to be in compliance with what the state of Texas says. They're starting to audit towns on those. That's why you see every town around us working on their ordinances, because most towns are out of compliance and are finding things like we are. And so that's why we are digging through them, making sure everything matches Texas law and changing anything that does not, because we can get fined for that.
Yep. So you'll be getting a call from town administrator in Bartonville to find out who's helping us. Okay, thank you, council. Moving on to new business agenda, item 15, discussion on town vision statements and goals. Presentation by Chris Lagenauer. I have asked if it's okay with council, so that we're not here till midnight, that if we can keep these discussions to around 15 minutes. They may take shorter. If we need to take something longer, we'll add it on to another meeting. Otherwise, we can be here really, really late. And I don't know if anybody wants to do that. These, yes, once they get finalized, absolutely. They will become a part of our website.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. But remember, this is first pass stuff here, so there's still work to be done on this. Is that a fair statement?
That is a very fair statement, and
Thank
I
you.
would, I sent a copy of this to each of you to look over the weekend, and hopefully you got it. If not, I apologize. But I just wanted to thank you all I received input from all 6 of you from my question to has a talent. It's super important that we go through the strategic planning exercise before we get to the budget of coming up with a town vision statement and goal statement. I don't know if the town has ever gone through this exercise before, but it's something that I think is very, very important as we're putting our budget together to get that cohesive vision for where we want the town to go. Basically, this document here was...
Excuse me, Chris, one
Yes.
thing. Laura, can you blow that up so that, I know we won't get it all on the page, but if we can blow it up so it's wider so everybody can see it. A little bit, there you go, perfect, thank you.
There we go. So basically, I took the responses that I received from all 6 of you, condensed them to a usable format, and to make it save a little bit of time, I would like to thank Laura for helping on this. This is something that we utilized AI for, which saved us a whole lot of time. We're able to take everybody's comments and let AI come up with some good, a good starting point for us. So I thought what we came up with is a great start. I would like to just start off with a vision statement of just a vision statement again. Is it supposed to be, this is what we want the town to be for the next 5 to 10 years. It's not meant as a goal or anything, but a vision is what we're envisioning the town to be as a council. And so I preserving Double Oak's natural beauty, rural character, and small town quality of life for generations to come. That was a consistent theme that I got from all 6 of you, quite honestly, of where we want the vision of the town to be. Then leading to strategic goals, I won't get into a lot of the detail, but I mean, protect what makes Double Oak special. Keeping Double Oak safe, obviously safety is an important thing. Maintaining town infrastructure, our roads and our drainage. Be a good steward of taxpayer dollars, and in 4 and 5 kind of go hand in hand of encouraging also responsible economic vitality while maintaining, again, all this is to be done while maintaining that vision statement that is at the top. And then another important thing in this community is to strengthen our community connections, to enhance communication between the town and the residents, to get more and more community involvement, kind of tying in with what Mr. McCormick is working on over there. And there's a lot of comments as it relates to just some guiding principles, and I think it ties into what really well into what's important, at least that I'm hearing either through the community or through whoever. And those are transparency, making sure that we're having an open, transparent council, a shared purpose, and also respecting cooperation. Those are all just kind of some guiding principles that were kind of scattered throughout the responses that I received from council, but I thought it was important to leave those in there just as a reminder, as some principles that we just need to keep focusing on. But I'd like to get your guys' input on it. Again, this is a draft statement. This is technically, this is the kickoff to the budget process. Right. I mean, for cities to do the budget process correctly, it should always start off with your strategic plan and your vision and your goals, because then the decisions that are being made that go into the budget obviously would tie into our vision and goals. So it's an important exercise. I tried to streamline it as much as possible. So a lot of cities, and I'm sure David could tell you, is a lot of cities will take at least a day or 2 retreats to come up with things like this. I didn't think that was necessary for our town, so I kind of tried it a different way, and I think it came up with some good goal statements and a good vision. But I would like to get your guys' input on that, any tweaks, anything that we would like to change or update. I would love to hear your input.
Okay. So what I'd like to do with your input, we're just going to be orderly and go around the room. Everybody will get an opportunity to speak, and then if we need to come back around and do it again, we'll do that. So, Councilperson Blesch, thoughts, ideas? This is not, we're not finishing this tonight. So any notes that we take tonight, we will take it into consideration as how it can impact. This is just a starting point. So. Thoughts and ideas, Councilperson Blesch.
Vision statement, love it. Strategic goals, love it. I don't see any economic-driven initiative per se.
That would be number 5.
Meaning, okay, economic vitality. I think it looks like to me that it's everything that the residents would want to see. I think the vision statement really leads into breaking it down, so I think it's pretty good for a first draft.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and if afterward, obviously afterwards, write some notes down, send them over to Chris, okay? Councilperson Gordon.
Yeah, I'm pretty much good with everything. I'm not a big fan of the word transparency. It has a different kind of meaning than most people should have, and I think the word accountability is a better word.
Okay.
In some form or fashion. I think transparency has become a word that people use in all kinds of different fashion and would much rather see accountability. But everything else in my mind works pretty good toward what we're trying to get to.
Okay. Councilperson Wellen.
Yep, I agree. Transparency was the one word that I had underlined on mine that I did not like because people use that as a catchphrase now. And what does it really mean? It really means accountability. I agree with accountability on that, because that's what I was trying to think of a word. Thank you for thinking of the word. I couldn't think of the other word that was it. How are you accountable? Otherwise, in the 1 through 6, you got all of my main areas of emphasis too. They're all in there somewhere. That's what I was looking at too. And well, I had a much longer statement because I use a lot of words. I like your shorter vision statement. Fewer words.
We had to tell AI to cut it down a few times.
Because, yeah, I had quite a big one that I sent you, or a long one. So, very good.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, 2 things. I disagree vehemently. Transparency was a major platform on which we ran. I think that it is, when we talk about accountability, the only accountability that comes back is during the election, right? That's about the time that we find ourselves accountable to the constituents. Whereas transparency is day-to-day interaction, is every meeting. So transparency to me is a highly sought-after objective from our constituents. The one thing I would add is on number 2, I would add fully staffed. So maintain a responsive, fully staffed, around the clock, police, fire, and ambulance.
You good?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
The vision and the statements up there would go hand in hand if we, with my vision of expanding town committee activities. By having citizens, residents involved in committees, it provides an additional layer of oversight, accountability for not only the town people who are on the committees, but also for the council. So rather than, taking anybody's word for it, if we're successful in getting some of these committees formed and actually manned and active, then it's going to fall right into several of these vision statements and guiding principles. So again, I want to encourage, even to the point of adding it as a if not a principle, but a challenge, is to get these committees up and running and get membership. So, people on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th row over there, get your applications in. Some of you already have. We have many positions that we can fill, and we need your your insight and your knowledge and experiences that actually are going to help the entire town benefit. Thank you.
I think with number 6, you could expand that a little bit. So it talks about reinvigorate community involvement, which I think goes along with what Dan's saying. But if we actually spoke to inspiring more participation with committees,
Yes, that'd be good. Otherwise, good job.
You get that? Okay.
Thank you all. Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor, did you have something?
No, I think y'all did great. Some of you shared with me, so I was able to see them. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty good foundation. 2.5 years ago, or it might have been 2 years ago, I did a short presentation on the fact that in the future, we had to get to this level of work for our town. It was a very generic presentation, and so it's good to know that, that was done before Chris got here, but it was something that in the interview process with all the town administrator candidates was that after we get our financial stuff in place, that we've got to get to this level of type of vision and strategic goals and values for the town. So kudos to all of you for this. There isn't anything up here that I wouldn't change. I'm in agreement with changes that you've all made. I think, again, what I'd like you all to do is think about this, think about what was said here, pen an email to Chris that says, hey, here's something I didn't think about, but I thought about it the next day, and we can get this tweaked. And because, yeah, this is absolutely the first step in the budget process. So with that said, we're going to move on to item 16, discussion on roles and responsibilities of town administrator, town org chart, council members Bump and Blesh. But what this is, folks, is this is a follow-up from our closed session of a week ago, or excuse me, in our last meeting. So I think that without giving you any insight into what occurred in the back room, basically I think that there wasn't clarity as it relates to what it is that our town administrator does today that might be different than when we had a town secretary. So, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Deputy Mayor Pro Tem and Councilperson Blesh for any comments that they have. And everybody can comment on this, and then we'll have Chris kind of talk through.
You want to start?
Okay, well, we really touched loosely on this last week, or last meeting. And I thank you for the information that you sent. And I think that we have a need to define what a liaison is to a committee or a commission compared to a chairman and a co-chairman, and I see that.
Excuse me one second. We're on the roles and responsibilities of the town administrator.
Oh, well, okay. Thank you very much for that information. And the organizational chart was just superb, and I appreciate that, because that was very informative to me on where everything is going and how people relate to you and to the mayor and to the rest of the council, so that helped me, thank you. I appreciated all the information that you gave about the town administrator and what he does, and, or she will do, or however that goes. So with all that information that you sent us, I appreciate it, I read it, and I thank you for the clarification, and it helped me.
Good, thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, okay, so the organizational chart was fine. What I'm interested in knowing, what I'm interested in kind of getting out for the community to understand are what your responsibilities are, and as much as anything, what your authority is. For example, I'm curious about what type of things can you sign off on that the town council or town wouldn't see? What kind of things are just kind of automatic with you? I'm curious about that.
Can we go?
Go ahead. So let's talk about.
Yeah, I don't want to get
roles.
it. Yeah.
Go ahead. Roles.
In terms of my role, I oversee the day-to-day operations of the town. That includes every department. Granted, we're a very, very small town. We only have, the police chief reports to myself. I wear many, many hats. Obviously, I oversee, one day I'm the finance director, the next day I'm the HR director, the next day I'm the planning director, the next day I oversee public works stuff. So granted, we do have some contractors who assist in that area, but I'm ultimately responsible for all the departments and the day-to-day activities in the town, and for implementing the policies and direction that the council provides me. I mean, in a general sense, that is my role as the town administrator. As it relates to my authority and my signing authority, I believe there was a resolution that was done before I got here, and I have the authority to approve any expenditure under $2,000. Anything above $2,000 would require council approval, and any contract above that is signed by the mayor.
Okay, so in the same breath, I mean, when we talk about, you mentioned, for example, you're in charge of the planning committee, or planning for the town. You run the day-to-day with the entire staff.
Yes.
So their job descriptions are defined by you?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess what I'm trying to understand then is, if everyone is reporting up to you, if you're maintaining this level of hands-on, and it seems small, but it's indicative to me of things, I mean, that I'm concerned about, and that goes to the idea that code enforcement would be yours, is either lackadaisical, or is not reporting to you, or is not being checked upon, but how we could go essentially 18 months. I mean, it's not like it started on January 1st, 25, it expired on January 1st, 25. So it's a registration that's 30 months old. This bothers me, because it goes to the rumors we'd heard during the campaign about the Kohler, about the truck being used very minimally, right? Because every time you go in to get an oil change, if that's being done regularly, they're gonna say to you, hey, your registration's out of whack, right? You need to go take care of that. So either the person taking it in, presumably Kohler, was ignoring that, or that wasn't happening. And this is kind of where, what I'm apprehensive about, is that you are wearing all these hats, and all these people report to you, and all of this stuff is kind of laid at your feet, and I'm apprehensive about what's slipping through the cracks. And that's why I asked about what authority you have with regards to signing contracts, or negotiating, so forth.
So I'd like to jump in here just real quick. So until we made the change to town administrator, the way the town org chart was, mayor is CEO, mayor is still CEO today, with a town administrator who has finance, public works, public safety. Before, when I came here as mayor, we had a town secretary who oversaw IT, public works, but the police department reported directly to the mayor. When we looked at all the other towns around us, the small towns that had police forces and did all this, we were one of the few remaining that technically was set up to where a mayor, so I could sit here and direct the chief of police to do certain things, whether it would be good things or bad things. That's a scary place to be, when we can put this all under an experienced person such as Chris, and manage it. So what I was doing when I got here, because and I'm not going to go in, I'm just going to address it this way. I was the town secretary, I was the public works, and I was the police, well, not really the police chief, but I was doing a lot of all of that work that Chris does today, because we weren't getting things done here in the town hall. When Chris came on and we made these changes, And we had all the challenges of what we had to learn and go through to get us to the point where we are today. We are now run absolutely like a town. And the town administrator, if you go over to Flower Mound, the town administrator is the guy that sits down and manages all of this for the council and the mayor. And so our setup of our town infrastructure is absolutely like most, if not all other towns. And it's done with hiring a competent town administrator. Will things fall through the crap? Oh my God, yes they will. There's going to be mistakes up here. But I can tell you what, when I got here, it was a mess. So I'll take a missing sticker over some of the other stuff every day of the week. And I think we've learned from this. We learn, we listen, we learn, we correct. And that's what Chris Logenauer has done every time we've come up with something that's been different, unique, or we find out a place. And here's the other thing. You have a town administrator with 30-plus years of experience that also keeps the mayor in line. All right? We've never had that here. We've operated like a king here for multiple years. We don't operate that way now. We operate within the rules of the way the government's set up. So my point and where I'm going with this is that we are absolutely more organized, more set up, and I don't put a signature on anything or approve anything until his signature has been put on it too. Everything has to be done with 2 signatures here. It's all accountability, all right? And that's what our new accounting system allows us to do in a much more efficient manner versus coming up here and writing a check, sitting down and writing on 50 or 60 checks. So, and I'm not trying to combat you on anything. What I'm really trying to do here is just to state that where we're at today versus where we were. And yes, I understand the platform that y'all run on. And you know what? Most, if not all of the stuff that was out there was BS. All you had to do is come up. Nobody came up here and asked to meet with the mayor and asked to find out about something. Hell no, y'all drew conclusions, cartoons, and other crap. So the reality of it is that if you allowed the process to work. No, I'm trying to make a point that we are in a great spot. All right? So I apologize to the council. I apologize to the administration. I apologize to the citizens for getting upset there. But there's been a lot of shots taken at Chris, and they are not warranted. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's
You
quite
have
all
some
right.
others.
I find a paradox occurring here, because on the one hand, I'm hearing that it's all about accountability, and then on the other hand, that shots are being taken that are unwarranted. I am not taking a shot at Chris so much as I'm saying that my years of management, and I don't know how old you are, but I would warrant a guess that I actually have more than you. When there are indicators, they are typically indicators of underlying concerns. And so I don't doubt Chris's pedigree, but I do wonder about how much is being asked of him, and as a consequence, what kind of things are being missed. And that's why I asked about authority and roles.
No, the role of a small town administrator is a tough position because of the number of hats that you wear on a day-to-day basis. Most city managers or town administrators of large organizations, because I work for a large organization, they don't deal with the nuts and bolts of every single department. You have staff to do that for you. I pride myself here on working with a very qualified, lean team. I call myself the anti-regular bureaucrat. I always look for ways to cut first, and I always try to look for ways to get things done more efficiently with less people. It's easy for people to come and say, I need another body, or I need another body. My first response is, let me figure out a way to get it done without a new body, to save the town money and to save the town resources. So, yes, it's been a major challenge, because wearing these hats and having to deal with the day-to-day minutia of a lot of this stuff is a tough job for one person to do. But I think I'm doing a good job at it, and as things come up and get missed, you will find that I'm not going to make excuses, okay? I will say, thank you for bringing that to my attention, and I will fix it and clean it up. And I have been that way since I got here. So.
Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Chris does a great job, and I say to the person, maybe even to you, that, if you were out with mistakes, then go ahead and throw the first stone. And we all make mistakes, and that was overseen, and you're pulling one sticker off of a truck as a situation that he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. And I think that's incorrect. I think that's unfair. And I think when, you get to the point where you don't make any mistakes, then you're welcome to go ahead and attack him more.
I don't think that that's a fair statement either, Mike. I think that all everyone's trying to do is just pinpoint and make sure, how can we stop these cracks from happening? That's 30 months,
It's
I
not
think?
these, it's
So-
one.
No, there's others.
Yeah, it's
I can bring up another one, but I'm not going to.
So
because
things
it's
like this-
irrelevant.
Okay, hold on, council, we're not here to discuss job performance, that's an HR issue,
Right.
we do that in a closed
Right.
session.
So I'll say something else. So I looked at what you sent us, and then I went out to other towns to see what their town administrator did. So Copper Canyon, super similar to this. Bartonville, super similar to this.
Yes.
So your job description, the things that you're responsible for, the things that you're doing, very similar to other small towns around us that have town administrators. And I also looked in, almost every town around us has a town administrator, small or large.
And?
Really?
Yes,
And what?
Yeah.
honestly,
No,
go out and
the-
look.
The town secretary model is pretty much gone away.
Yeah.
Because of this discussion.
Right.
Of all of what has to be done and the skill set it takes to find those people.
And when you said that they are similar,
Yes,
pretty much similar,
yes.
what differences did you find?
So pretty much similar, I can get them out in a financial management of being over the different departments.
These are all similar.
These are all similar. So those are the things I see. Procurement, so that's what I'm saying, it's similar to this. They write them up slightly different in what they call it, but it's the same types of things in all of these that I read.
Yep.
So you can go out and look at them. They're all online too, so that's how I looked at them and found them.
Dan? Dan? Any statements or comments? I'm good. So we have the town org chart on the website. We've had it on there since we got the new website. Actually, we had it before. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to item 17, old business, discussion regarding council liaison appointments, standing committee structure and assignments. Chris, I believe you're leading this discussion.
Well, this is a follow-up to the discussion that we had at the last meeting. I tried to provide the council with a little bit more information, one, kind of sharing what other cities do as it relates to their standing committees. We do currently have 3 resolutions that was approved by the town council, I believe, in January or February, that gave some type of what I call structure to the 3 standing committees, the roads committee, the ordinance committee, and the drainage committee. I know we're all familiar with them, so I'm not going to go over the nuts and bolts of it, but I just wanted to make sure that as a council that you had all the information available to you, so you could kind of compare also with what other towns and how they use their advisory committees as well. So with that, I'll leave it up to the discussion of the council.
Okay. So I know that you talked about last one, Councilperson Bump, that you didn't think we needed the police liaison anymore. I agree with you on that. I also think that we're outdated in having the liaison for the planning and zoning and for the BOA as well. They're not required in our ordinances. And I believe because of the time and place that we are putting liaisons from the council that might then act and vote on things is not a prudent thing for us to do as a town. So I would eliminate all 3 of those liaison positions.
And also with that being said, Cross Timbers Water Supply Corporation, right now we have a liaison, Curtis Glover, who's not been in the town for 2 years.
No, he still lives here.
Curtis?
His house is for sale right now.
Yeah.
So he will be
Well,
leaving.
I mean, he's on here as the liaison. I guess he's leaving, he's not left.
Right.
Interesting. Well, anyway.
So that gets reappointed, because that comes up at appointment.
That's an appointment. That's not a,
That's not a liaison. These are appointments.
This is an appointment,
There's
yes.
2 of them.
Well, we talked about both of these. We wanted to talk about both of these last time when we moved it to this meeting.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'm out of order. We're still talking.
No,
Those are
okay.
part of it.
No, we're
Well, Curtis Glover, as far as I knew, didn't know that he's leaving or has left, will not be here. I do.
here, but he doesn't live here.
So he's selling the residence right now.
I understand.
Oh, but he does not live here.
These need to be reappointed anyway, because they
So
come up
I
from
do
time
have
to
an
time.
appointment that someone is willing to take this position.
with that, we have to work with Cross Timbers. This is Cross Timbers-driven initiative. It's not our town initiative-driven.
We have.
Same with Upper Trinity.
We have talked to Eric, and there is no conflict with this person being on the board over there and being our liaison. So I think it would be a great suggestion and for the city. Go ahead.
If I'm hearing you correctly, so you've reached out to Cross Timbers and had these conversations about the board appointment?
I didn't have any conversations with them. I called Eric and did not get a response.
Okay. Because, like I said, the Upper Trinity and Cross Timbers, these are kind of official pieces that the council ends up finding the people that are interested, and then we have them there. It's like a 1 or 2 year, in some cases it's 2 years, in some cases it's 1 year. And a lot of times they get reappointed, or they say, hey, I'm done, and then we have to find somebody else.
All I'm trying to do is fill the vacancies and make sure that all the departments, standing committees, and the commissions boards are all filled. And I'm trying to indicate that Curtis Glover, that needs to be filled.
Yes, when he leaves, I believe that would be correct.
But he's, okay.
Yeah, I'd be happy to reach out to Cross Timbers Water Supply and work through that process.
And find out from Upper Trinity too.
Yeah,
But Dave
I'll be
Nelson's done
happy
a
to
hell of a
work
job
with
with
both
Upper
of
Oh,
those
Dave
organizations.
Nelson's awesome.
Yeah, no, I'll be happy to work with both
I'm
those
talking about Cross
organizations.
Timbers Water Supply.
Yeah, I'll be happy to follow up on that, work with our staff, and make sure that we're following the right procedures to get that refilled with what it needs to be refilled.
Because it's on the website that he is our liaison, and that's,
Which he currently is right now, yes.
but he doesn't live here.
He does live here.
I thought he's
He has a
selling.
house. It's for
He
sale.
hasn't, it hasn't sold yet, it's for sale.
So
There's a
he's
sign in
li-
front of it.
he's living
If
in
you drive
it?
by there, you'll see a sign in front of it.
But he's living in it.
No.
It's empty. It's for sale.
So it does need to be, he needs to look into it and get us.
Okay.
Reach out to.
Yeah, I will, no
Okay.
problem. I'll be happy to do that.
Well, that's interesting, but
So,
okay, that's
Patrick,
fine.
We, Patrick, the suggestion's been made to not have liaisons for police, planning and zoning, and Board of Adjustments. How do we address that? Do we make an emotion?
Not,
Not today.
Not today.
Just
Okay.
a discussion.
All right.
This would be for the next meeting.
Okay.
Today, we're just doing the discussion to try and figure out which ones that we want to have.
Does anybody have an argument or to support a liaison for any of those 3 groups, police, planning and zoning, and Board of Adjustments? Because again, police is a no-brainer, since we got the chief here every meeting, and then we got planning and zoning and Board of Adjustments who meet irregularly, maybe not at all.
I have a strong desire to be the liaison for planning and zoning.
well, so, again, I think because we're about to have things come before us, and we're going to vote as a body on
Yes.
those, that there is nothing in our ordinances that says that we need a council liaison, and so I think it's prudent not to have a council liaison that has said they're against something that may be coming before us.
I haven't said that I'm against anything.
You have in your forum and in other statements that you made publicly.
No, I haven't.
You have said that you're against the development.
I did
And
not.
Go back and listen to the forum where you said I would be against
I have never
that.
said I'm against it.
Okay, hold on, folks.
Okay, I'm sorry. But I just think it'd be prudent where we are right now to not have
All
liaisons
I've
for
said is
these.
I didn't have enough information yet to make any decision. That's all I've said.
So I think the police, because, the reason why there was a police liaison was because of before, when it was split, when the police reported to the mayor, that made sense.
Yeah.
Today, I don't think it makes any sense.
I agree.
It doesn't mean, though, that I don't want to devalue our police department from the council. As far as the P and Z and the BOA, we didn't, there was never anything done with those.
Right.
They
David,
have
is
public
there?
meetings.
Because we have chairs for those committees.
Yes, and they're
that's the
public
difference.
We have chairs for ordinance, we have chairs for roads.
Well,
They're,
as part of our government, those have an official
Standing
capacity.
committees. The
BOA and the P and Z has an official capacity. Everything underneath that or outside of that are committees and such. And yeah, you're still going to have a chair and all of that. But in terms of the planning and zoning and the BOA, those are integral parts of the government here in Double Oak.
and so Berman, they have, my understanding is they have a legal standing then, because they do, like BOA is, they're the Board of Adjustments, their things are standing when they make a decision.
Those are boards, the P and Z and the BOA are boards or commissions that are recognized and/or created by state law. The purpose of a liaison from a council's perspective, I mean, no council member could be appointed to serve as a P and Z member or a member of the BOA because you've got an inherent conflict in dual office holding. The purpose of a liaison really is just kind of to be a go-between between the council and the board. I got to say, Pat, what you're saying is absolutely correct. In light of a controversial topic coming up, a council member serving as a liaison to, for example, the P and Z may create some appearance of impropriety when the applicant comes before the council. The function, though, of the liaison is not to participate in discussions or deliberations with the P and Z. The function is just simply to observe, to answer questions that P and Z might have of the council without the council being present, but it's a compromising position when it becomes a council issue.
But anytime they're meeting, it's a public, open meeting where council members can come to it.
By state law, all of the meetings of the P and Z and BOA are subject to the Open Meetings Act.
So
and they are all open
therefore,
meetings.
all of us can go to those. So we really don't need a liaison for that or the BOA, because for the same reason, they're open, public meetings. So I think our liaison is outdated for a time when we didn't have a town administrator that could do the work that if somebody has questions, they should go to him. If the committee chair has questions, they should go to him, not to any of us, because we are voting members.
But you
That things
are-
could come before them. My ordinance committee has no voting authority whatsoever. It's not legal. It's not a legal entity. It's just a
Got it.
standing committee.
Credit, I get that.
And the roads and drainage, same way. All the others, these are the only two that have legal standing, or legal
Well-
standing entities.
I am a very neutral person when it comes to the town of Double Oak, and I do want the P and Z committee to be I want to be a liaison for them. I'm not wishy-washy on which way or which way. I think there's a process, and I think that me being on the P and Z committee years ago, I think that me or the chairman reporting to us, the council, or me, the liaison, is an important value. I think it's an important value. I think P and Z is a very important committee.
I think it's very important
Commission.
too, but I think the commission now has a town administrator that they can ask questions to, and I believe that we need to stay neutral because we have to be able to hear the things that come to us and not have any appearance of
Are you saying that I
impropriety.
can't, I'm not neutral?
Any appearance of impropriety
it's
can come back on the town.
It's the appearance.
appearance.
So David,
not?
the
I
council always has the right to actually ask the chair of a commission to report, to come to the council meeting and report. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That's
So
correct.
that would take the place of the liaison, because that's just an extra person between the work of a commission or board and the council.
Yes, we've had, in certain instances, we've had our planning and zoning chair speak at the meetings, to which then it's an open dialogue with the council in terms of Q&A. Hadn't had that opportunity with BOA because hadn't met that often. It's been, I don't know how long it's been since we had a BOA meeting. So, and I get it from both sides, Linda, I really do. But we hold the BOA and we hold the planning and zoning chairs more accountable than, say, these commissions or these committees, just because of the nature of the structure.
So it's on the list, and Mike Wartney has been the liaison, according to the list that's on the website, and he didn't even know he was. I mean, it doesn't matter about that. I would like to have the P and Z committee. I would like to be the liaison.
I think that Mr. Weaver, who's leading the P and Z meeting.
He does a great job.
And again, we can ask them to come to the council at any point in time. So I don't know why we need a liaison. The reason I didn't even remember being on it is because I've never had to do anything. I've been on the council for 3 years, and they barely met if once in those 3 years.
Yeah.
So,
But now I think that with everything that's been going on, everything that's been going on and going to go on, I think that it would be nice to have him be able to talk to somebody on a regular basis and the town council. I think
that's exactly what the attorney is saying we don't need, because it could cause problems.
We are walking down the road of a slippery slope, especially with a lot of these people who are trying to push onto these committees and boards who have been out there in the public saying this, that, and the other thing. We are on the edge of a slippery slope. And if something doesn't happen in a manner that sees fit from a landowner, a real estate person, a commercial developer, or whomever, and it can be skewed as the potential for something that might be improper, it is absolutely something that this council and I as mayor have to have deep thought on before we go and make some of these moves, at least for the next 3 to 4 months. After that, when we get back to where we're approving yard signs and barbed wire fences, that's great. But we are up against some hot button issues. And if we think we're going to pack the courts, load the committees in order to get a vote one way or the other, and it's out there, and it's found out, I don't even want to think about what could happen.
I don't think
So
that
we gotta
that's
be
what this
smart about
council would
this.
do. I think the people voted us in, and.
Could I?
Yes,
Yes,
David.
please.
P and Z and BOA both are subject to the Open Meetings Act. That means anybody, any council member has the right to attend and observe. The concern that everyone is expressing regarding being a formal liaison is the possibility that you may actually engage in the decision-making and the deliberative process of the P and Z at the P and Z level. And then when it comes before the council, you've already participated and provided input or influence at the P and Z level, and then would be doing the same thing at the council level from a developer's perspective or an applicant's perspective. It appears to be unfair because you're having 2 bites at the apple. There's nothing wrong with anybody on this council attending P and Z Commission meetings. In fact, in a lot of cities, it's very common, especially in controversial issues, they either attend in person or there'll be the entire videotape of the meeting after the fact. Nothing wrong with you going there, but it's when you actually begin to speak. I mean, when you're there just as a citizen, it's inescapable that you are a member of the town council. Everyone's going to know
I
that.
would just be quiet.
Well, if you're the liaison, you have kind of an obligation to be, to answer questions if asked. As a citizen, in the capacity as a council member, you have no obligation to say anything. The concern is active participation as a liaison on behalf of the council at the P and Z level, and then participating again as a council member at the council level on the same issue with the same developer.
Even if you were completely neutral, even if you never said a word,
Right.
the accusation that you did would be a he said, she said. It's just, so what I've come to learn in this discussion is that it's not a function of, not, or denying you this thing you want.
Correct.
It's very much a function of the appearance of the possibility of impropriety. That's it.
And we have to do what's best. As
For the
fiduciaries of this
for the town.
town, we have to do what's best,
Yeah.
and that means make sure that we don't do anything that could possibly lead us to a lawsuit or something because of an appearance.
Well, that could be said with almost any liaison position that we have right now. Fine. I'm good with it, as long as we get reports and nothing, and it's transparent to the community and all that. That's all we want, is, like, you
Right.
can use the word accountability, you can use transparency, I don't really care. But I think that that's why we were voted in, is to make sure that everything is above board and everything gets talked about. That's it. Or the appearance that it gets talked about.
Okay.
Okay. Next.
I'm going to go over to Mike.
I really don't have anything. So.
Okay. Dan? I know you, the liaisons and all that stuff. I know you've already put your pitch in and all that stuff for the committees and stuff. I'm just giving you an opportunity if you want to speak here.
Just to reiterate what we discussed, we've only got 4 actual standing, well, they're called ad hoc, but I think in reality they're standing committees. Ad hoc means they're temporary. Is that right, David?
Or in existence for a specific purpose.
Okay, so these are supposed to be referenced as standing committees. So there's other committees that I want to propose and move forward on, and we can do that hopefully by the next council meeting. But I think realistically, we can only deal with the committees that actually exist today. We already talked about Mike's on the Drainage Committee, and he has expressed an interest to stay as a liaison on drainage. Same with Pat on the Ordinance Committee. That really leaves just 2 committees. Well, you got the Roads Committee, and then you have, technically, there's the Technical
Technology.
Committee.
Technology committee's not listed, yeah.
Technology Committee, which we have not had a committee, we've had a liaison.
Right.
I know Mark Dietrich had expressed an interest to be on the Technology Committee. So if there's going to be a Technology Committee, then there will need to be a liaison for that. So there's really 2 committees currently that need a liaison, Roads
That is
and
correct.
Technology. And I will personally, I would accept the liaison for the Technology Committee.
So what I would like to do is we're going to note these requests, and then we will put on the next agenda, we will actually have to where nominate and vote on getting y'all to where you want to be. Right.
So, and at that time, will you also have these other committees to have available where they would be then appointed at the same time? or what are
We
you
need to
thinking?
talk through a lot of this stuff, because
To
it's, with all these other new and additional committees, I'm not saying we won't do it, but we've always had a struggle in the town, and I get it. I think today there's a lot more active participation by a lot of our citizens. So I think we need to sit down and define which ones are, quite frankly, very important to the town, which ones maybe aren't as important. A lot of this has been driven by a lot of things that have occurred, and we want to make sure that, if we say, hey, we got to have 7 of something, and we call it out as 7 and we get 5, how do you have a meeting? Because you don't have 7. And so I think we still need to logistically talk through the, hey, I think we need one of these, and here's how many people we should have on it scenarios. So for example, Bartonville has community development, crime control prevention, special events. Copper Canyon has crime control prevention. Hickory Creek, arts and culture, economic development, parks and rec. I wish we had parks. I mean, we have a nice park here. Shady Shores, keep Shady Shores beautiful. Argyle, capital improvement advisory, crime control, park boards, comprehensive plan. So how many should Double Oak have? And what is their purpose? Because you can set up and have as many of these as you want, and eventually, how difficult is it to get our roads committee to meet on a regular basis, or our drainage committee?
Drainage is tough.
It's tough, so
We
get these.
we have 4 members, and typically,
Right.
there are only 2 that show up.
So I'm not in any way questioning your idea of this. But as you've done 2 or 3 times already tonight, trying to recruit people to them, and that's great, and I think we should, we all should. But when does it make sense? How many? And then how often are we going to be able to use these committees to be effective? And I don't think we're there yet, because we've forever have been around roads and drainage, and we added the ordinance a couple years ago. So as the mayor, I'm not saying we don't go have more. What I'm saying is that we really need to think through it. I'd like to get all of you to give your ideas and your opinions in an email to Chris, and we can gather these up and kind of start to vote on where we want to go. But for the next council meeting, we do need to get the appointments done for
Roads and technology.
roads and technology.
And can I add one other thing in here?
Yes.
That's something else that I looked into. And that was, I believe, Mr. Bump, you're the one that said we should be appointing people when they put in their application. I've looked through, I think you said that last meeting, because you asked why are we waiting until January for these?
As we have openings.
So here's what I've learned from going out and looking at how other towns, so I've been in volunteer management for 27 years. I've actually worked in 28 years in a nonprofit, but for 1 year I did not have a volunteer committee. In that I've done a lot of research on this. And we had some committees that were not very active and that were dysfunctional whenever I took them over. A few of my committees were. And what we found was having a starting time for onboarding, and this is actually volunteer management best practices, you can look those up also, having a starting point where you onboard everybody at the same time of the year, and then reappointing at that same time of the year with and this is probably where we can do a better job, where we have a call for people to send in their applications to the town secretary during a certain time period or by a certain time period, so that they can come before council and be appointed before the term ends. So I think we have January on these ones that we just put together. So the call would be November, basically. The council could decide in December for appointment, reappointment, and then January, they'd all come in, they could be on board at the same time. So that's a best practice, actually. That's something that Chris brought. Before this time, we had, Ms. Hillier got up last time and said, it's always been done this way before. And she was correct. It was always done that way before because we didn't have these resolutions that actually put a structure around these committees. And since that time, we have. And so now we have a structure. So onboarding happens all at one time where you don't have to stop. It's chaos if you don't have that. That's what, I had a committee that was chaos because people were just coming off and on all throughout the year. The other thing that we don't have in this resolution, however, is, and that I've found on almost every other site, was they have a 2-year appointments for each of these. And then at that time, they roll off if other people want to be on that, or if other people don't want to be on it, they can reappoint them. But that way, the other best practice was, when I went in there, people were on committees for life. So they never had room for anybody new to get on. I started doing where we got rid of a third, and a third. So every year, 1/3 of the committee people would drop off, 2/3. In the smaller towns, it's 2 years, and half go at 1 year and half go at the other year, is the way they're set up for most of these, is what I'll tell you. So Bartonville looked at theirs. Their term starts October 1st, ending September 30th, and it's a 2-year for most of their terms. Copper Canyon, I found the application on the website. It states that they need to send in their applications by 10/31. I couldn't find how long their appointments were. Hickory Creek, they have June term expiration dates for members. on their town website, and they have 2 years. Shady Shores, per website, 2-year appointments with staggered terms. And you could only access I couldn't see what timing they did, because you could only access their application if you have a residential ID to log in, to put an application in. You have a residential ID in Shady Shores. Argyle, 2-year appointments, some are staggered. Capital improvements, all of them these start at different times in Argyle. Capital improvement starts in February. Crime Control Prevention starts in September. Parks Board starts in February. Comprehensive Planning Advisory Board starts in March. And Municipal Development starts in September. Denton County, for their committees, has January to December appointments. And Flower Mound has 2-year terms that start October 1st. So that's a consistent thing that happens in every other town, is having them where they have a start time. They have 2-year terms mainly, for the ones I could find their time period, and they tended to have more staggered rather than not, and to let or allow new people to come on so people couldn't stay forever.
What are our current terms for our committees right now?
So that's what I'm saying. We don't currently have that. That's what we need to add as a best practice. That was not added because we had the same, when we were putting this together, we had the same thing of, can we get enough people and can we get that? But I think we need to put that in. That's one thing I would add to resolutions as we move forward, is putting in a term time period. And I would stagger them so that you have some consistency where half are there and half are not, just like we do on the council with elections. So you always have half the people that have been there before and have at least some expertise and can hand off to other people.
I don't have an issue with that. I do have an issue, though, with the notion that if people fall off, we just leave it empty.
No, and that's one of the things I'm addressing in the resolutions, not only for the new committees, but even revising the resolutions for the existing committees. The Section 3 should be the same, and Section 3 of the resolutions refer to what the makeup of the committee should be. And to address, Pat, what you brought up and Chris referenced here, 5 to 7 members who are residents of the town shall be appointed by the town council at the beginning of each calendar year. That's what it says now. And then extend it to say, to include, or as determined by the council to fill vacancies or to replace members. So, if a chairman of a committee comes in and says, hey, so-and-so, or they quit, or so-and-so hasn't been, like in Mike's case, somebody hasn't shown up in a year and a half, well, they don't need to be on the damn committee. So let the council have the opportunity to put people on those committees that actually are going to participate and add to it. So just by adding that one line, or as determined by the council to fill vacancies or to replace members. So again, I did the same thing you did, Pat. I went through and looked at what other towns are doing, utilized AI on how these structures should be put together.
Oh, be careful on the AI. Some of them weren't coming up with the right stuff.
I actually proofread it before
Okay.
I print it out. But that's what I'm proposing. It'd be the same structure, it'd be the same duties and responsibilities of the chairperson, whether it's liaison. Now, Pat, to answer your question, your point, the one committee that I think is important, and that would be the Budget and Finance Committee. We used to have one in the town, and somewhere along the way, it just kind of got pushed off to the side. But going back to accountability and that word of transparency, if we can put together a budget committee of people knowledgeable, I'm talking people in accounting and in finance, because this town's full of successful people in all career positions. If we can bring them in and work with Chris and the staff, we can put together a really functional budget committee that acts as a benefit to Chris and his staff. Not to get in their way, but to provide an additional oversight as well as support for the budget process.
Expertise.
And we need to do it pretty quick because, our fiscal year ends September, or starts
Well,
September.
We've already started the budget process. And correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney, the mayor is responsible for the budget. Is that a true statement?
For preparing and proposing.
Preparing it, proposing it. That is correct. You all approve it. So, and then we have, and you'll learn this when we go into one of our workshops, we have certain dates and certain milestones that have to get done to turn things in for Denton County, for the state. So we can throw about 6 or 8 more people in here. And we can have meetings that not everybody can be to, and it gets elongated and it gets moved out. And then you all lose your opportunity for your input because we're dealing with it. I'm not opposed to it as much as I am. I think it's something we should work on after this one, only because we've already started this one. The budget process can be simple. It's very open. It's very much just, it's what's in the spreadsheet. I don't know if we need all of that, but Chris, what are your thoughts?
Can I say something first?
Sure.
It'll go with Chris' thoughts. How many meetings do the citizens get to come to and speak on the budget?
Right now, we have in our preliminary budget calendar, we'll have one budget workshop in, typically it happens on a weekend in August, and then we have 2 public hearings in September.
So 3 times?
Yes.
But last year, we actually had 2 workshops and then the public hearings.
Which was 4.
Correct.
Yeah,
So the citizens have the chance to give their input.
And the citizens can come to the workshops and
Right.
have all that. Yeah.
And they did. And so I guess my question about a committee is, the committee just creates, first of all, more work for Chris and Daisy, and Laura, because she's just with the budget. But it creates more work for them, just trying to prepare for those committees related to budget. And then second of all, that committee has to come to the council and make a presentation, and it just seems like we're already giving citizens 3, last year 4 times to come and speak. I'm not in favor of a budget committee.
Yeah, for that very reason is why a lot of cities don't have a finance budget investment committee, because the budget timeline is tight in itself. We are given, for example, we are given the property tax rolls the end of July. We are required by law to meet certain deadlines basically during the months of August and September to get the budget done. Those deadlines cannot be missed.
I think it's a false dilemma.
The deadlines can't be missed?
No.
Okay.
That we're under a tight schedule. I understand that you get the hard data in July, but there's nothing to keep the committee working up until that point where the numbers could be changed, right? They can work on assumptions and then make the immediate adjustments once those numbers roll out.
Well, I guess it gets down to, council member, then what is the role then of the committee and what is going to be their responsibility
Exactly.
Throughout this process? Because there's a lot of decisions that are made in a very, what I would call a very short time frame, a 2-month period. So we just need to be very, very careful about what is the role of this committee, and what types of things would we be running by the committee before taking it to council. So that's the only thing, that would be my biggest caution of creating such a committee. I'm not against the committee at all. I mean, the more input and feedback we can get, but setting that role and responsibilities of what the expectations are of that committee, and tying that into the the structure of the budget process is the challenge. And so that's why when you look, especially for a small city that does not have what I call a very complicated budget, we don't have a utilities department, we don't have debt, we don't have a lot of the special funds that a lot of the other cities do. We have a very, what I would call, very basic budget to put together. That's why when you look at the list, a lot of the smaller towns don't have a finance committee overseeing the budget process for that very reason.
So in regards to this topic, which is about the liaisons, we're going to get the two liaison appointments filled at the next meeting. So those will be agenda items, separate, not together. I would like to get a little bit more input from all of you on what you think your 1, 2, 3, 4 best new committees would be, just so we can kind of look at it from that aspect. And then we'll have to bring it back and have a little bit more discussion on it, just in terms of how we do that. So with that said, yeah, I'm sorry.
I just have one more thing.
Yeah.
So, Mayor Pro Tem McCormick, can you send us, or not send us, but can you send Chris a list of those committees that you're contemplating so that he can share them with the rest of the council?
He already has them.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you can share them with the rest of the council so we can look at them and see what's being proposed, so that we can also.
Pat, in addition to the list, I've also been working on resolutions for the committee, similar to what we had last year, but a little bit, but the resolutions I have provide a further, a more in-depth description of the function, purpose and function of the committees.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll take the work you've done, but obviously our town attorney and town staff are the ones that do the resolutions, so they don't necessarily come from the council. Is that correct? Correct. So, and then it has to go, before we get the final, it's got to go to the town attorney to be approved. So share with what you have, and then we'll get it over, and again, same thing, let's get it back on the agenda and let's discuss it and have the town attorney review a pass of what you got. Linda, you good?
I am.
Thank you. Mike?
I'm good.
Pat?
Good.
Chris?
Good.
Dan?
Move on.
All right, town staff, we good? All right.
We are good.
It is now 9:17. Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate y'all.